Good day, everyone. This is Juanita Kapp from Meticulous Moments, and we are here for yet another session of the Meticulous Moments show where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. It has been an astonishing almost 5 years now since I started Meticulous Moments, and I have to say it has been a journey. I've met the most incredible people from all across the globe. And I want to say thank you to every single guest who has been on the show. I think we're over 300 interviews now. Also, that's not counting the lives, everyone that's following Meticulous Moments, everyone that's a part of MAM, the Meticulous Martial Arts Mastermind as well. Guys, you rock out there. You are making the world a better place. And on this show, it gives me great joy to bring on phenomenal people who are doing good out there, people who are shining in their fields of study, people who are really working very hard to make the world a better place. And today I have one of those amazing people here with me. He's my good friend, Rhino Michael. So without further ado, let's welcome him to the stage. How are you, Ryan?
Hello. Thank you. The beautiful and knowledgeable Juanita Kapp.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's so good to have you here. And I know you've been very, very busy. So thank you for making the time for us today.
My pleasure.
Let's talk a little bit about you. Let's talk about what you do and what you enjoy, about your field, the field that you are working in. You do all kinds of things. Tell us more.
Okay, well, I came to Hollywood as an actor, and back in the old days, you started in B and C quality movies, the Corman type movies, the Canon film type movies, and I came out with quite a bit of athletic background skills, and I realized very quickly in those type of films, if it boiled down to you and another actor were equally as good for the part, but you could do your action, you could do your stunt work, and he couldn't, and the producer had to hire a stunt man to stunt double him and then hope he gets the footage matched in the editing room. I had the advantage because I could do all of that myself, and that's how I started. I got my SAG card on Wishmaster 2, a Tim Thomerson and Linda Hunt film that Charles Band Productions, aka Full Moon Productions, was banging out as a shovel man. And I was a gardener who Dr. Wardo mysteriously turned into a trancer, and Tim recognized that rhythmic shoveling. And he and Linda Hunt ran out to save Biff Maynard, who was the guy I was sent to kill with my shovel and decapitate him. And of course, they got to me just in the nick of time, and I turned into dust and got my Screen Actors Guild card in that film. Wow. Ironically, as my career progressed to guest starring roles, producers were hesitant to let me do my own action because, for instance, my first guest star was on Silk Stockings, and there was a gag I was really excited to do. I figured out that Rob Estes, the star, was a policeman, and that John Biner, the comic relief who had just been brought on for that series as a man who could get you anything, had lied to me about Rob being a safecracker. So we're in the back of a 1968 drop-top Cadillac. I've got him at gunpoint. I'm taking him back to my boss, who became famous in all of the Saw films, to kill him. And they decide to run into a barrier because they have seatbelts on and eject me out of the car. And I was really looking forward to doing this. A great stunt, my own action. And we blocked it all out. And the stunt coordinator come over to me and he says, Rhino, I want you to meet Pee Wee Piemonte. He's going to be your stunt double. And I said, you can send him home. You're not giving him my gag. And we got into a pretty good 5 or 10 minute loud argument over me doing my own stunt and this guy not. Finally, the director came over to me and he said, Rhino, let me explain this to you. You get hurt, we're shut down. He gets hurt, we get another Rhino. And there was something about being valuable or valuable enough to a production that they wanted to keep me safe.
Yeah.
So that's when I ran into my two careers. I had my guest starring bad guy roles,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would sneak off and do stunt work. And that was like my adrenaline rush. That was my machismo, um, feeding what I needed to feed, and at
Yeah.
the same time, reaching for that golden Hollywood ring.
Fantastic answer. Absolutely great to learn about that background, because you have this creative side as an actor, but you also have this adventurous side, knowing that you can pull these stunts off, and you have to feel that as well. So, what is that? I'm sure you've had many injuries during the course of your career. With doing, I know the stunts get done over and over and over again sometimes when things change up or they want to change the choreography. What's the worst injury that you have sustained from doing stunts?
Well, I guess it would have been this little pinky right here. I break that every time I hit someone. It just rolls under. But I haven't hit anyone first in 26 years. That being said, there was a cumulative injury. Um, as a young actor, one of the best jobs you could get in Hollywood, both to learn your stunt career and for work, was the live action shows at Universal Studios, where I was the smuggler leader in the Miami Vice show, or the Wild Wild West show. Ma Hopper, Claude Hopper, that was myself, and Cole Hopper come in to take over the stunt show from the stunt coordinator and his comedic sidekick. I was training to be the double swordsman in the Conan show. And the beauty about that, first of all, he made $65 a show, 4 to 6 shows a day. So $300 to $400 a day. That's back when your rent was $500 a month for a beautiful Hollywood or Malibu guest house. Things were quite a bit less expensive in Hollywood back then for a young actor. But at the same time, we signed for our lunch, so you ate well. I could get anybody into Universal Studios for free. So if you wanted a stunt coordinator, see you in Miami Vice, for instance, dodge the Miami Vice boat and see my boat get broken in half, or see me handle weapons, or do a 42-foot high fall into exploding gas barrels, or the Wild West show, handling horses and guns and stuff like that, or the swords in the Conan show. It was easy access. And if you got what we used to call a real job, working on a film or TV show, there were 6 people for each position. So you just called the number 2 guy or the number 3 guy, said, "You want to take my shift today?" They would cover your shift and you'd be right back to work the next day. So it was tremendous training for an actor, because if you could hit your marks, do your cues, do your dialogue in a 28-minute show and hit all the safety switches, so whatever had to go off, when you're on a set and all you have to do is a 1 or 2 or 3 little swing thing, and then it's back to 1, it's a piece of cake.
Yeah. Wow. That's very interesting. You see, this is what I love about getting the background and asking these questions, because I know there's a lot of people in the audience who are very interested in how this is all put together. What it is like to be on set and to work as an actor and to meet other people who are striving towards the same goals. Now, I also know I've been working with a lot of actors and producers over the years, and I know things have changed dramatically on set and in the film industry. What are some of the most interesting changes that you've come across?
Well, one of the most interesting changes, we're just talking about the live action shows. Back in the day, real stuntmen frowned on those shows. Now, just about every stuntman that I know in Hollywood has started in one of those shows. The Waterworld show has taken the place of the Miami Vice show. Sadly, the Wild Wild West show moved on, but they have people doing Star Wars and working with lightsabers and what have you. So it's a great opportunity to learn. The other thing that has changed a lot is when I got to Hollywood, you were a film and stage actor,
Yeah.
or you were a TV actor because you couldn't hold the big screen, or you were a stuntman.
Right.
None of those things mixed, which
Yeah.
was one of my quandaries at first. William Morris had seen my first film, a big French film called Le Grand Carnaval, World War II epic shot in Tunisia. Alexander Arcadi and Roman Polanski were the two biggest French directors, and Alexander Arcadi cast me in that film as Bill, a corrupt but lovable MP that just wanted to get through the war and make some money.
Right.
Tremendous learning experience on that. But when I got to Hollywood, I had to get my SAG card. And I said to William Morris, I said, William Morris, don't you just call somebody? And unfortunately, that was when the Me Too thing was happening. Weinstein was famous with women, but
Yes.
there was a lot of people that would suggest, for instance, going out to Joel Schumacher's parties on the weekends in Malibu. And
Right.
Joel, as we all know, he's a lovely man. I've worked with him twice. But that was the shortcut that I wasn't willing to take. So they said, start doing commercials or extra work. And extra work is a great way for a young actor to learn the business.
That's right.
One of the first things I got cast in was Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton's hit TV show, Beauty and the Beast. I was cast as an underground cave dweller. So I would have had a day or two, maybe more work a week on that, on a set that was actually required viewing for UCLA and USC film students because of the lighting. Tony Jay and Roy Dotrice, who played Father and Paracelsus being the evil guy in that show, were Royal Shakespearean actors, Rada actors. Ron, of course, and Linda, fantastic actors, and the actors they brought in to support them. My first day on set, I'm standing there with a cup of coffee and a bagel, and I'm in my underground dweller rags, and the first AD is yelling at somebody directly in front of me. I mean, top of his lungs yelling, and said, "The hell with it, you're fired, get the hell off my set," turned abruptly and ran right into me. I had the presence of mind to spread my arms, so my coffee went that way, my bagel went that way, but I kept my wardrobe from getting damaged.
Right.
And he looked at me and he says, "How tall are you?" I said, 6'4". He said, "You ever done extra work before, stand-in work before?" I said, "Sure." I lied. I never did stand-in work before. But how tough could it be? Stand here while they light you, stand there while they light you.
Right.
Watch what they're doing during rehearsals and then recreate it so the first team can get their makeup done or run their lines or whatever. That being said, I was immediately thrown into the creation of a scene. I had to stand there and watch the director and the actors block a scene, decide what the dialogue's going to get done, if props are going to be getting used, what's making a scene work, what's not making a scene work. And then they say, "Okay, first team in, you step out, you watch the actors work, you see them film it, you're ready to go again." So all of a sudden I had a 5-day-a-week job.
Good.
Fred Lerner was the stunt coordinator on that set, and Fred and I became friends very quickly. I told him I'm very interested in learning action. Mike Vandrell was the stunt double for The Beast, and Mike had written his own action film about those little mini like kite planes and action things. So he went off to do that, and Fred said, "I heard you were an extreme skier. How do you feel about a 10-foot drop?" I said, "I can do that with my eyes closed." So my first stunt, they had a pull-on Vinny mask that made me look exactly like Vincent. I put on his wardrobe, and my first thing was about a 10-foot drop in front of two bad guys in the cave, and I'm supposed to go like this. So I go to Ron, and I said, "What are you doing when you do this to bad guys?" He said, "I'm disemboweling them." That was the beast in him. So now Fred said, "Would you like to have your knees at 65? And I said, "Love to have my knees at 65, Fred." He said, "Let me show you how we're going to do this." So they took paper cups and turned them all upside down under a 4x8 sheet of plywood. Put the plywood on top of it, put a piece of fake grass with some fake dirt. So when I jumped off that ledge and came down, the paper cups acted like an air cushion and just went. And it was the softest landing in the world. I still
Wow.
have my knees today. I haven't had them replaced. And that's how I made the transition into becoming a real stuntman. I worked on that show for 2 seasons until my career as an actor
Yeah.
was taking precedent. I started getting, you work your way up. First, you do a one-liner, then it's under 5 lines, then it's featured, supporting, co-star, starring, and eventually they call it top of the show, guest star. And you work your way up.
That's true. That's true. And you have that fond memory because you had the guts and the courage to say, I can do that, because you believed in yourself, in that
And you
moment.
also have to have a little chutzpah, as the Jewish people say, to dazzle them with your bullshit. Yeah, I can do that. But
Fake it till
when
you
you
make
get that opportunity, you got to be able to do it. That's
That's
the
right.
trick.
That's right. You got to put it all. Got to put everything in there. And I think a lot of the people that I know, they really made it big as well. Like you, because they believed in themselves. If there's that belief in yourself and really that hunger and that thirst to create and to do something amazing, you're going to find a way. You're going to adapt. You're going to be where you need to be at the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, because that's the energy you put out. It's just reciprocated.
Yeah, preparation is the key to success.
That's right.
I mean, just showing up. And first of all, I studied with Lee Strasberg in New York on scholarship. So that was my acting background. I got discovered in a little restaurant in Little Italy, New York, by Elite Men's Division, which was Elite, Zoli, Ford, and Wilhelmina were the 4 biggest modeling agencies in the world. 2 months later, I was a 1980 arena swimwear model for the Moscow Olympics. I was on billboards all over the world in a Speedo. I became the Shams Man, Makes Your Fantasies Real, selling shirts for a shirt company. I was on the side of every bus in New York, Chicago, and LA with commercials running. I went to Europe to model one season, and that was right time, right place. Back when I was starting, most male models were 6 foot tall, 40 regular, period.
Yeah.
Then you had the supermodels, Verushka, Iman, Grace Jones come in. These women were like 5'10", 5'11". You put them in heels, they couldn't walk a runway with a 6 foot tall man. They needed 6'4" men. And I loved doing runway. It was something else. And then paying me to take my picture gave me a chance to see the world.
Wow.
My very first picture, Le Grand Carnival, which I mentioned.
Yeah.
Again, you have to tuck your ego in sometimes to get ahead.
That's
In
right.
the American paper in Paris, they had an ad for Americans that were willing to go to Tunisia for 2 months for $100 a week. You're going to work Monday through Friday on this World War II film. You had the weekends off, but you're staying at like a Sandals seaside resort. So I thought, I want to see how films are made. This is a big action film with cannons and tanks and ships and stuff. And Tunisia, North Africa, how Humphrey Bogart romantic Casablanca is that? And I went to see the casting people, and they said, as long as you want to get your hair cut, World War II style, which my hair was already short, and go for 2 months, can't come back. I said, fine. But I said, is there anything you haven't cast yet? And because, studied with Strasberg, done about 5 or 6 commercials, blah, blah, blah. They said, no, it's all cast. About 2 weeks later, I get a call from casting. The director wants to meet me. They had cast an African-American gentleman as the chief of military police. When the technical advisor got on set or on the film, he said there was no blacks sent to North Africa in the American troops because they were afraid of infiltration. So they needed to recast that role. That's where luck comes into play. They brought me and 4 other people in. I made sure I was the last one to read for the director. I like being last. That way you're the last thing they see. You make the strongest impression.
That's right.
I read for the director. I said, merci beaucoup, à tout à l'heure. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. He goes, viens ici, which, come here. And he throws me a script and he says, vous, Bill, you're Bill. I was cast right there in the office. So I went from $100 a week to $500 a day. A first
Wow.
class air ticket from Paris to Nice, Nice to Tunisia. My own suite, working with Philippe Noiret and Roger Hanan, which are like France's version of Brando and Walter Matthau. Peter Riegert, who had just come off Animal House as Boone, was my opposite in the film. His agent, William Morris, saw the film on the Champs-Elysees in Paris and said, "You're ready for Hollywood, kid." And that's how I got to Hollywood. All from answering an ad for extra work.
Because you said, I'm going to achieve my dream, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to start where I need to start. It doesn't matter if I jump that ladder, it matters that I climb it. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of people, they don't want to do the small things because they think, no, it's beneath them. That's the secret. Being
Yeah,
willing.
you gotta learn. You got to
Right.
learn. There's so much to set etiquette. There's so much to the dialogue that goes on set that if you're not there, if you haven't done your groundwork, you have no idea what they're talking about,
That's right.
and you could cost them time and money and effort, and that's not going to leave a good impression with a director or a producer. So
Absolutely. And while you are doing those smaller roles and being an extra and having that one line and then 5 lines and moving up from there, it's true what you say. You hear things, you see things, you learn, you put it in your arsenal so that you can be an advantage to the team and
yeah,
not someone who stifles that time constraints, because there's a lot of time constraints. It has to be well planned out by the producer and the director. I mean, there's no time to play around. It needs to get done. So that is a great philosophy and a great approach to what, to
and
how
never
you.
stop learning, never stop stretching your bounds, never stop finding another skill set you can add to your resume. You may never use it, but if you do need it, you're there.
Yeah.
I'm
I
working on ABC and Hulu's new hit series, Paradise, this Thursday. I
fantastic.
go to Paramount tomorrow, which is one of my favorite lots in the world. I don't care where I got to go on that lot. I go
Yeah.
through the Paramount gate. I love that gate. It's like so old Hollywood, It's been in
Right.
so many old pictures. And then I'll walk over tomorrow. I'm going to wardrobe.
Yeah.
I'm stunt doubling one of the stars, doing some motorcycle stuff Thursday.
Very cool.
Again, that is me having fun doing stuff that, the police used to try and arrest me for and now get paid for. And I'll do it safely and I'll keep the actors safe. And I try and do my homework.
Yeah.
Saturday, fortunately, I love the series. I binged the whole 8 episodes. It's a great series. It's on Hulu for free, or ABC is going to be putting it on now. And I can't wait to see what happens next season, because
Yeah.
the 8th episode is a cliffhanger and a half. And I'm going to be working on next season's stuff this week.
Fantastic. It's so amazing that all your hard work through the years, that determination, that dedication to the film industry and to bringing these wonderful stories to people. People watch shows and it changes them. That story that goes out there really speaks to them. It connects some dots for them. It's a work of art, and you've been doing it for all these years and you enjoy doing it. It's not just a job, it's what you love to do. And I think that's
It's like going to the playground.
yeah.
I love prosthetic work when they turn you into a completely different creature or being.
Yeah.
I have a thing I starred in called Andromeda Wars.
Andromeda.
That'll be coming out maybe the end of this year. They're special effecting it now. I worked opposite an old friend of mine, Matthias Hughes,
Oh,
who
but
you all know. I mean, Matthias is great. Nicholas Turturro, and of course the great Chuck Liddell.
yeah.
Chuck is going to be a bounty hunter. I'm a guy that's been through a lot of galactic wars, so half my head is metal and glowing red eyes and whatever. And boy, if that isn't like Halloween on steroids, really
That
looking
sounds
forward to seeing
interesting.
that.
Is that Adrian Milnes with the Andromeda Wars? Who put that production together?
Oh, that's JCC. How do I say? It always have such a Jane Chow the Third is a
Oh,
producer, and damn it, Massimiliano Cerci is our director.
Oh, okay.
So we shot that on location in the desert up here, and then in a sound studio. Jane Chua, Chua the third. She just built her own studio out here with state of the art green screen stuff. She was our producer. She's got some other things coming up later this year. We'll probably get involved in also with Matthias. Matthias and I met. Well, he came to fame in I Come in Peace. That film he started opposite Dolph Lundgren, where he came to Earth and he would scare people to get their endorphins, and then he'd shoot them in the head, would suck all their endorphins out, which was very valuable on another planet. I've worked with Matthias a couple of times. Used to see him almost every day at Gold's Gym in Venice, at 5 or 6 a.m. when back in the day when we're all in there at that time, lifting weights. And because Hollywood, Schwarzenegger and Van Damme brought physicality to Hollywood. I mean, up to that point, there was a lot of good-looking men, but the superheroes and the bullets don't bother me kind of guys started. And back then I was probably about 275, 285, and back then 6'4", 275, 285. That was the big bad guy. Now, if you watched Reacher, the big bad guy this year was 7'2", 385 pounds. So, I know, 7'2", and there wasn't an ounce of fat on that guy. But I can't compete in that arena anymore. But I can still do the bad guy boss. That's lethal, but we'll send him out to go do my bidding.
That's good. That's good.
You have to be malleable in your career. You change. You grow into different images. Matter of fact, this is probably the last you'll see of the beard. I was told the guy I'm going to be stunt doubling Thursday is clean shaven. So there it goes.
So the beard is going. It's the last time we'll see.
Yeah, it comes back pretty quick. But that's the other thing about Hollywood. I was just looking at some of the guys I've stunt doubled over the years, and how they can make me look so different so quickly.
Yeah.
I did Dave Bautista in Stuber. Dave and I looked a lot alike with this, but when he shaves his head bald, I'm not willing to do that. He has another stunt double. Alfred Molina, I've stunt doubled twice. One of them, he looked very young. Another one, he looked a little bit older, so they whitened my beard and whatever. Steven Seagal, of course, in Under Siege 2. Interesting thing is, one of the reasons I got that job, besides being supremely qualified for it, was that at that point I had my hair was all one length down to my shoulders. So you put me in the ponytail.
Quick.
My eyes were blue, his eyes were brown. And if you got that close, the shot was no good anyway. But you couldn't tell the difference between me and him. And oddly enough, on that film, we got up to Vail. We're going to be in Vail, Colorado for about 3 months shooting that. He was arguing with Warner Brothers about his ponytail. Yeah. He was saying, it's 5 years after Under Siege. I'm out of the Navy. I have a restaurant. I'd have my ponytail. Yeah. Warner Brothers' point was, Under Siege, $100 million domestic. Under Siege 2 is costing us $100 million to make. Hopefully, we'll make that $100 million back. No ponytail. Yeah. So the first week we're shooting up there, we don't shoot Steven Seagal at all. We're shooting what they call turnarounds. People he might be talking to or other scenes, because he's still arguing with Warner Brothers. He flies back in Monday from his ranch up in Montana or Wyoming somewhere. And I'm standing there with our stunt coordinator, Dick Syker, Joel Kramer, one of Hollywood's biggest stunt coordinators, Henry Kingi, probably the best stunt driver in Hollywood. And we're having coffee in the middle of this field. And Steven walks past me giggling. And I look at Z, I say, why is he laughing? He says, well, we got to cut your ponytail today, Rhino. And I said, so, no big deal. He said, so I'm going to give you a $5,000 stunt adjustment for your ponytail. Oh, wow. I said, cut it.
Cut it off.
You cut it, right. So I made a couple grand every time I ran, stem to stern on top of that train at 60 miles an hour that day. And I was a 14-hour day. So your sun adjustments get added to your day rate, and that becomes your overtime rate. So that was the single most profitable day I've ever had in the business.
Wow.
And my first week's check was about $28,000. And I have a shadow box in my house.
Yeah.
It has a Xerox copy of that, my first week's check from Warner Brothers, and my ponytail. And in the memo, it says, "Thank you, Stevie." Thank you, Stevie. I made a lot of money.
It's so cool memorabilia there. Show us that mug that you're using. I saw it before the show, and I thought it was very interesting. What's the mug that you're using? What's on your coffee mug?
Oh,
I saw it and
all right. This is I'm drinking coffee from the skull of my vanquished enemies, like Conan. It's I'm clean and sober since 1996, and my vanquished enemies are drugs and alcohol. So every morning at 8 a.m., there's about 100, 150 men on a Zoom meeting all over the world, some very, very famous, from musicians to actors, and I have my coffee in that, and it reminds me that I've found victory over drugs and alcohol, and I have a better life because of that. I never messed up on set, but it was always like, yay, I got a film, let's celebrate. Yes. Work sober, and yay, I finished a film, let's celebrate. And it just started taking too much of my quality of life away. So at one point I decided I needed to go to Betty Ford and get sober, where all my peers go, of course, because vanity is my favorite sin. And I went out there and got my life together.
Fantastic. I'm very, very proud of you. That's the right thing to do. You are helping the world out there. I know that you help people a lot. I know you go out and you help people. You have a very good heart, and you also have a heart for community. And
well, I'm very open about it on my Facebook page. Quite often I'll do a post about sobriety when something memorable pops up from my past, or something bad pops up, and like when we lose somebody, and I'll talk about my sobriety and what it's meant to me. Only time I'll talk about other people sobriety is when they're open about it themselves, when they're out there, and I may have had some kind of interreaction, but I let people know, if you need help, reach out to me, and we'll do what we can do to get you some help. It's there's a lot of help out there for people, and it's just I don't know. Everybody has that one little thing that when you take that drink or that beer or that drug, or it hits them and say, "Oh man, this is great," but eventually everything that's great starts working against you, and when it works against you, sometimes it's hard to realize that and ask for help. But once you ask for help, it's available, it's free, and I don't know anyone that's sober today that doesn't say they're living their best life. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. All it takes is a little bit of faith that someone is out there, that they want to help, and with their help and with them being your accountability, friends, you can recalibrate. You can.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, look what happened with Robert Downey Jr., right?
Yes.
He's worth $500 million today because he got sober. He had the screen test for Iron Man because they didn't trust him. And that was a good thing. See, that's funny how things work.
Right.
The producers didn't want to pay him what his rate was because he was newly sober. They didn't know if they could trust him. So they gave him $500,000, which I know it sounds like a lot, but he was making millions of dollars per film.
Right.
But his agent negotiated 10% royalties on Iron Man.
Nice.
So everything that was ever made that had Iron Man attached to it, plus he was in every Marvel movie right up through the Avengers. He was one of the most memorable and beloved characters as Iron Man, has made him about $500 million. But he still runs an AA meeting once a week, Broadway and 26 when he's in town. He still reaches out and helps people because he remembers if he wasn't sober, he wouldn't have any of that. Wouldn't have his wife, wouldn't have his kids, wouldn't have his career, wouldn't be of service to other people.
That's
So
right.
sometimes the worst things in life turn into be the best things.
Absolutely. Those difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations, and there's always a lesson to be learned. I always say that scripture because I was an ordained pastor for 15 years before I went full time into my business and my show. And I always say, everything that was intended for evil, in the end, it turns into good. God finds a way to turn it into good. So, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., oh my goodness, my son and I, we are total Marvel freaks. We
Bob's a great guy. I love Bob.
Marvel. Yeah, he was just so. I mean, my son was. I don't think he even turned 2 yet, and there was a Iron Man movie where he jumps out of the plane and they play this AC/DC music and he lands on the stage and he climbs out of his suit and he does this whole speech. My son was so small and he knew that entire speech, even the mannerisms and that's how he was. He always had the newest helmet and the little suits and those
God, can you believe what they're doing? I mean, you can buy an Iron Man suit now. The helmet moves and it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Every Marvel fan should have one, but he made the right decision. He got to that crossroad and he made the right decision. It wasn't the easiest decision, but like he made it, and he's never looked back.
No, once you, it's either life or no life. I used to say life or no life. When I started, I used to ride my bike from the people who were helping me get. When I went to Betty Ford, I had 3 dogs, and these people from my church said, "We'll take care of your dogs. Go get sober." And when I came back to town, I knew that I needed supervision. I had to have someone give him power of attorney. Every dime I made went to him. I got $20 on my bicycle every day. Nice. And I'd ride my bike down to Gold's Gym. I'd work out. I'd go up to 3rd Street Promenade for a lunchtime AA men's meeting with a bunch of guys. I'd have coffee at Borders with some newcomers to help them. I'd go back to the gym for my afternoon workout and ride my bike back up. And then we'd have men's Bible study or something to do that's, of service. And I'd go see my dogs. I'd play with my dogs. And I needed that kind of supervision at first because I couldn't handle checks in the mail were like a trigger to me. So I had the common sense to say, let me ease back into my life. Let me learn how to handle money better. Let me get rid of these triggers. And of course, my career went through the roof at that point. And we're still learning and growing. And, I'll be working until they throw dirt on me. I'll just do older parts, more character work. It's unfortunately, I'm not a pretty face. Pretty face is fade. I've always been a character actor. So we'll just grow into different roles and, hopefully work till the day I die. I couldn't imagine just sitting around on a porch with a pipe and, rocking in my rocking chair, watching the sun go down. I would rather,
much to do.
Like Gladiator, was it Alan Bates? Skips my name. The actor that ran the Gladiator school. He did a great scene, fell over and died.
That's right.
Right? What a great way to go. On set, working, made all the trade papers, of course, and then they had to CGI another actor in there to finish the film. But that's the way to go out,
That is a great way to go. I mean, that's a poetic way to go. And I know you've got many, many more years of, putting those productions out there and doing those stunts and, portraying those characters. And you and the actors that really are on set doing these projects, it's a lot of work, guys. In the audience, it's a lot of work to be an actor.
Yeah, 12, 14, 16-hour days sometimes on set. Doing the same thing over and over and over, different camera angle. Something doesn't work. A hit doesn't. My dog Bear's in the other room because this is doggy park time. He's saying, "Hey, it's doggy." How he knows he doesn't have a watch? He knows we were supposed to be at Doggy Park a little while ago. We'll go
Oh,
soon, Bear. Don't worry.
we thank him. We thank him for letting him. But we can borrow you from him. I love animals as well. I rescued dogs.
Yeah, trust me, being a little late to Doggy Park's no big deal. But yeah, it's fun. There's a park not too far from us. It's not a dog park. It's a park. But every day there's 30 to 40 dogs in this one section, and they all have their friends that they like to play with and chase. And Bear's very social. I think he likes the people more than he likes the dogs. And they all know who has the doggy treats in their fanny pack. And can you hear that? He's telling me.
Come say hi.
What's the matter, Bear? Come here, Bear. You want to be on TV?
He can be on, of course. He heard you talking about his friends. He's like, it's playtime, Dad. It's playtime.
He's something else, you know. It's 135 pounds of love in the other room there. Come here, Bear. Stop that. Come here. Come here. Let me see.
What breed is he?
He's a black lab and wolfhound mix.
Oh, wow.
I wanted a tall dog, so I didn't have to bend over to pet him. You know, he's right there, you know. Yeah.
That's cool.
I found him on a road trip.
Yeah.
My last dog, Bear, came to me up in Joshua Tree. Yeah. I had just finished playing Lou Diamond Phillips' dead father, in this action adventure film called Route 666.
Yeah.
And we had a big rap party. It was Christmas time. So we had a big rap party / Christmas party. And at the rap party, I bought all the stars. We had Lou Diamond Phillips, Lori Petty, Steve Williams, a bunch of really great guys to work with, actors to work with. Yeah. And they all seemed to have ranches or, you know, that type of thing. So there was a thing called a Leatherman. It's a pair of pliers that when you open it up, turns into about a bunch of different tools, and had a beautiful hand-tooled carrying case that you'd wear on your belt. So I bought them all Leatherman. And the second AD was kind of crying in his beer, so to speak. He couldn't afford to go home. He was alone. He wasn't even going to get a Christmas card this year. So I had one extra one. And I gave it to him. Yeah. But I needed to replace that one before I went home, because I had planned to give it to someone as a stocking stuffer. Right. And so I stopped at the Walmart up there in Joshua Tree, and I bought literally the last one, and there's a line out the door, and I don't stand in lines, but for some reason, sometimes you're supposed to be in a line or in traffic for whatever reason. God's ways are not our ways. So I stood in line, and I bought it, and as I came out, the 29 Palms Marine Base had set up a Toys for Tots. I wasn't going to go in and buy another toy, so I donated a couple $100. And then they had a bake sale for tots, so I turned around to buy some cookies for the road. Yeah. And as I turned away from the cookie bin, I get hit with a shopping cart with a cardboard box full of puppies. And the kids, little blonde kids, said, "Hey, I'm sorry, mister. Hey, you want a puppy? They're free." And I looked in the box, and damned, my first dog in California was a little blue collie shepherd puppy named Wolfie Girl. Damned if it wasn't Wolfie Girl again, but it was a boy. I mean, the markings, the color, I mean, she was like a long-haired shepherd, looked a little bit like a wolf, but this was a boy. And then there was this big golden one. She had puppies, and one of them was Big Eddie, which I kept. I had mother, brother, sister for a while. And I said, boy, it looks like Big Eddie. So I put them both down, and I backed up, and I called them, and Big Eddie one came right to me. And Wolfie looked at me and went the other way, and it said, "That's my dog." You know, I like independent dogs. But still, I was living with a woman. We had a beautiful house in Brentwood, and I wanted to ask permission if I could have a puppy. Yeah. And I couldn't get her on the phone. She was somewhere with no reception. And I was like this, and I said, "Chief, you know, how old are the dogs?" And he said, "I don't know, mister. He was born October 22nd. That's my natal birthday." So he was born on my birthday. He showed up, you know, right before Christmas. I was in a great relationship, had a fenced-in backyard. So I said, "Yeah, I'll give him a great home." So this one, I had lost I named that one Bear. I had lost Bear to a vet's negligence at about 12 years old. And getting his teeth cleaned, he gave him too much anesthesia, and I was heartbroken. And about a year later, I decided to go on a road trip to kind of get grounded again. Just get in the car. I just restored a 1986 Nissan 300ZX, new engine, paint job, suspension, and I'm just going to drive up to the Pacific Northwest, maybe over to Jackson Hole for the winter. Just get out of Hollywood, get grounded again, meet some new people, life adventure. So I'm up in this little town called Willits. It's the heart of Mendocino County, right by the Redwoods, and it's the eve of my birthday. Without my bear, and I am a little melancholy and in a bad mood, and I decided I'm going to drive 4 hours in this torrential rainstorm back to San Francisco, and I'm going to party. Not too many things could have gone wrong with that decision, but I had to stop at the bank to get some money. So the first bank, this is a one-horse town. There's a traffic light at one end, a traffic light at the other end. But it's a great little town. Everybody knew each other. Just a real, I don't know, a real town, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, there was the slowest woman in the world at this ATM in the rainstorm. Just as I thought she was done, she's putting checks in one at a time and then starting the whole thing all over again. She didn't know you could put in them all at once. So going across the street to the other ATM, I see this young couple with backpacks and two little pit puppies about 6 months old on ropes headed to the same one ATM. And I could have easily cut in front of them, but I figured I'm in a car, I have a cabin. They're probably leaving from what they call trim season up there. They trim the pot for the growers, and they make some money, and then they travel around. So I let them go first, and I start talking to little pit puppies, and the guy sits down to take the weight off his backpack, and his poncho's moving, and I see one paw, and then another paw, and his little head pulls up out of his poncho, and it's him. And I said, "Man, you got a great puppy there. Look at the size of those paws. He's going to be huge." And he says, "Mister, you want him? I can't take care of him." Every reason in the world not to take a dog. I'm in a sports car. It's overpacked. I've taken over a cabin from a friend of mine who split. I didn't know if I could have a dog there. I'm on a road trip. Every reason in the world not to take a puppy. And I asked him, I said, "Geez, I don't know. Do you know how old he is?" He said, "I don't know, mister. He was born on the 4th of July. I left Los Angeles 5 a.m. on the 4th of July. It's the eve of me and Angel Bear's birthday, and he shows up when I'm about to make potentially a bad decision." And I said, "Yeah, I'll give him a good home." So I was parked in front of J.D. Red House, the feed store. We went in there. They were still open. I let him pick out his kibble, and we bought some puppy flea and tick shampoo because I figured he'd been running around the woods for a couple months. And then we went, got him a little squirrel leather chew toy. And then we went down to Vaughn's. I bought some roasted chicken to mix in with this kibble. And I bought a 6-pack of Mexican Coca-Cola, those little bottles, my favorite, and a piece of chocolate cake for my birthday. Took him back to the cabin, washed him, blow dried him, put the kibble and chicken down. He went, "Oh, this is going to be good, Daddy." And just as I got back into bed to finish watching a movie and light my candle for my birthday, he was standing at the front door going, I opened the door. He went out in the rain, did his business. I came right back in, and he fell asleep in my arms. So
you just puppy.
Every July 4th, we celebrate his birthday, and me staying sober that night. So
fantastic.
That's the bear.
How the universe works. He was sent to save you.
There is a loving God. He shows up on time, all the time, and he showed up that night because, as I said, I wasn't in the best frame of mind that night, and I don't know if I would have made good decisions that night. Yeah. But he showed up, and we stayed sober. And when I was off my road, he was a great road trip dog. You know, I mean, so much fun. He got baptized Christmas Eve in a snowstorm on top of Pine Mountain. with holy water from a baptismal font from the Catholic Church in town. And that's when he decided he loves snow. We just got back from Mammoth Mountain last weekend, where he had a blast. You know, he just loves the snow. There's coyotes up there. There's critters up there to chase at night.
Fun.
And the hotel and the restaurant just love the bear. You know, it was funny. Me and my buddy that went up with the vice president of CW Network, and me and Rich and Bear go to the restaurant in the lodge that night, Mammoth Mountain Inn. It's right on the mountain, and we ordered dinner. The waiter starts walking away. He says, "Well, I'm sorry, I think I misheard you. I have 3 dinners here. I have this, I have this, and I have this." And I said, "Oh, the steak is for Bear. Could you please ask the chef, no salt and pepper, and to cube it, please, because he doesn't know how to use a knife and a fork." And he had a good laugh, and people in the restaurant loved the Bear. He had his steak with us, and I want to give him the best life he can have, and he loves the snow, and it was a good trip. It was great spring skiing. They had 10 inches of fresh snow the day before we got there. No lift lines. It was just 30 degrees and a light breeze, and very refreshing, to get out of town and get your yayas on. And I come back, and the stunt coordinator called me to work on Paradise this week. So,
yeah,
it all works out.
Do you take Bear with you when you go?
He's actually very good on set, but
Nice.
Something like this, no. Frankie Ray, who's one of the best character actors in town, he did his first film with me, a real low budget thing called Prison Planet. It was right after Canon Films broke up, and Menachem Golan was doing really inexpensive. That's all my sober buddies start calling it 6 to check in. It was here's a plot. See, back in the day, getting better roles was like getting your first credit card. Nobody wanted to give you your first credit card. And if they did, they gave you a little tiny limit. And then if you paid on that, they give you a bigger limit and maybe a better credit card. Same thing with your acting roles. Yeah. You won't get seen for a starring role until you have a starring role credit. Mm-hmm. So this film, a friend of mine, Michael Foley, had been cast as the lead hellbender. We're teleported to this prison planet, and what do we do for a living? We catch beautiful virgins on a prison planet, and we sell them to a guy in a spaceship. Now, we don't have rings around our neck that'll blow up if we leave the planet. There's no reason why we can't get on this spaceship and leave. Where we get virgins on a prison planet is beyond me. Not the point. It was a starring role, okay, as the right-hand man to Michael Foley's character, who basically never left the tent. I got to do all the action. I got the moon vehicle. I got to capture the princess. I got to find the deposed king of Anakin. I got to capture the guy that was sent up there to find the deposed king of Anakin. Me and Frankie was cast as my sidekick. Anyway, it was $65 a day, a shared motel room, and I think it was Chungking chow mein for lunch every frickin' day in a big aluminum pan served cold. Didn't matter. It was a starring role credit.
You did it.
And Frankie and I actually stole the box cover from the stars. We're on the box cover, nobody else. And that starring credit started getting me seen for guest starring roles. So again, $65 a day for a couple weeks in 120-degree weather up in Lancaster, doing a low-budget film that is really quite campy. It really kind of held up. But that's how you move up the ladder.
That's right. You were willing to do it, and you did it because you knew something was gonna give. Something was gonna give you.
One other interesting little thing about that film.
Yeah.
I'm a method actor, and the first scene of the film I'm literally shooting, we've captured Blaine. He's in the trunk of this 1965 Mustang, What that's doing on a planet, I don't know. They cut the roof of it off it. They took the doors off it, hung snow chains on it, put a cow's hide on the front, and this big ass ray gun in the back, which we never used in the whole film. We're supposed to come flying into the Hellbender's camp, do a 180 or 360, big dust cloud. We got him. We got him.
Yeah.
Car won't start. They have to push me into frame, which is not working for this method actor. Where's my macho? Where's my dirt? Right? So we shoot the scene and everybody's moving on to something else.
Yeah.
I grew up in a gas station with my dad. He had Esso gas station. So we popped the hood and I'm going to figure out why this thing isn't starting because this is the picture vehicle. We've got a lot of chase scenes to do. Next thing I know, I got this little skinny 135-pound blonde hair like Groucho Marx guy, Frankie, who's cast as my sidekick, next to me. And we figure out we need about $200 in parts to get this thing running and a Pep Boys. So we get to $200. We hop on our motorcycles. We go buy the parts. You know, an hour or two later, we got this thing running. Yeah. And that's how Frankie and I met. Anyway, Frankie lives in, I'm in a 1940s duplex. He's in a 1940s duplex on the corner. When he gets stuck on set, I watch his dogs. When I get stuck on set, he watches my dog. We have keys to each other's house, you know. So Bear will get good bear care while I'm out doing my Hollywood thing. And I think Frankie's about to head to Pennsylvania for Taylor Sheridan's new film about prisoners.
Very cool.
So we just taped his audition yesterday for that. Part was offered to another pretty well-known actor who couldn't do it or didn't want to do it. And he recommended Frankie. And I directed him in his audition because it's a really, really sick prisoner. And we got anyway, casting called, and they wanted to send it directly to the producer or director. So we're waiting to hear on that one for him. So I'll watch his dogs if he goes to Pennsylvania. And Thursday he'll take care of Bear.
That's a good arrangement to have. Because
it is. You know, you need support. You got to support your friends. Absolutely. And you got to be happy for your friends when they get work. Yeah, I'm actually happy for guys that beat me out for a role. I like to watch the show or the film if someone beat me for a role or got cast in to see what it is the director or producer saw in him or needed. You know, sometimes you can be too powerful. You'll upstage the star. So they may need somebody less powerful. Sometimes they bring something to a film that didn't occur to you to bring to the film, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And that is the right way to be, is to always cheer other people on. That's what we do here at Meticulous as well. And with Ma'am, we cheer people on. If I don't know how to connect them to someone, if they're, you know, asking me for direction or assistance, then I know someone who can. It's all about that networking. It's all about supporting each other and let the sun shine over other people, because there is a place for everybody.
Years ago, I was offered the Jesse the Body Ventura. They were doing a film about his life, and they wanted me to play Jesse. But my hair was all one length down to my shoulders, and I didn't want to shave it. I didn't want to shave my head off.
Yeah.
It was my look, and it would just take too long to grow back, and I got too many dents on my head to look good, bald, I think. So I said, "Who you want is Nils Stewart." Nils and I had just guest starred on Martial Law in the 50,000 volts Ring of Death thing, big fight scene with Sammo Hung and the other star. And Nils was already bald, except for his ponytail, and he had been a professional wrestler. So I said, Nils is who you want. If he'll shave his ponytail off, he looks like Jesse. He's a professional wrestler. He's a good actor. So Nils got the role.
Very good.
That's the way you have to. That's the way you have to be. Sometimes open doors for people. Be joyous and happy when they get work, and actually be joyous and happy when you don't get work, because sometimes things just work out better that way. You know.
Yeah, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. Really, literally. Yeah. And you know, we are guided. I really believe we are guided. Nothing happens by chance.
No, really. I don't think so.
There's too many synchronicities for me to believe that things are chance.
Got to be alert, though.
Yeah.
When I heard that the previous stunt double and stunt coordinator for Steven Seagal and him had a falling out, and he wasn't going to be doing Under Siege 2, first thing I did was throw on a black suit, black shirt, put my hair slicked back in a ponytail. I already was tan, and I got right on the Warner Brothers lot, and I walked right into production to find the stunt coordinator and the producer to throw my hat in the ring. And when I walked in, everybody was saying, "Steven's here, Steven's here." They thought I was Steven. And I thought, oh, this is good. This is good, you know? And I found the stunt coordinator, and I said, listen, I heard you and so-and-so had, I don't want to mention his name. He's become a very big stunt coordinator also. Had a falling out, and I'd like to just throw my hat in the ring. Again, you know, you got to be ready to jump on a minute's notice to take advantage of an opportunity. You got to stay. That's one of the things Facebook is great for, is finding out who's doing what, where they're doing it, who the stunt coordinator is, who the director is, and getting to them. You know, sometimes you can direct message them. It's a great work tool. I used to think it was, you know, for college kids or something, but once I realized what a work tool it could be, it's amazing, you know.
I agree with you 100%. Until 2020, I wasn't really on Facebook, but when COVID hit, the churches closed. So I took everything online, and I built everything through Facebook. That was my work tool. And, you know, I met the most incredible people. And it can be good or bad, but you can kind of monitor it, you know, you know, you can mediate it. I don't get involved with the politics because there's a
I don't do politics or religion.
I don't do that. It's safer that way.
Yeah, it's, you know, we're all going to find out whose God is right or wrong, you know, when we get our dirt nap. And as far as politics goes, whether you're for one person or the other person, you only have to put up with them for 4 years. And then the next person will come in, and, you know, I just pray for America and hope for the best for our country. And I let it go at that, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you mentioned working on Under Siege 2 with Steven. Steven Seagal called me just before the MAM Hall of Fame took place. It was December last year, 6, 7, and 8, and it was a wonderful event. But just before I went down to the ballroom, he called me up, and he was telling me to have a good evening, and we also inducted him that evening at the MAM Hall of Fame, and he was thanking me for his award. Very, very nice and humble person. And you were also inducted into the MAM Hall of Fame, so I just wanted to congratulate you.
Oh, thank you.
And your trophy's on the way this week. It took a while.
Good. Looking forward to it.
To box them and to get everything in order, because I was sick the whole January. My fiance and I was sick, and then we moved job, and then we moved job again. So it's been so busy. But congratulations on that huge achievement. And I know
thank you. He was a nice man to work for. Very interesting, very accomplished. For a kid from Fresno to become, world famous martial artist and movie star. That takes dedication and focus. And, he had that, as soon as he did his first film, you saw he had it, he had that it factor, Yeah, he was a very interesting man to work for. And I got to do his biggest and most successful film. And that was The Feather in My Cap. I beat out every stuntman in the world, the stunt double Steven Seagal. And I had actually done extra work on Marked for Death. Marked for Death, the one with the two Jamaican brother drug dealers. One of my friends was going to do he was one of the Rastafarians, and they were going to drive the BMW through the window of a big Wilshire Hollywood Beverly Hills actual store and crash it. And he said, Rhino, you want to come down and see this? I said, yeah. He said, I can get you some extra work. I said, yeah. And I met Jeff Dachnow, who was his stunt double at the time. And even Jeff said, geez, you look an awful lot like Seagal. You'd be a good double for him. And my brain said,
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The light,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding. That's gonna
Ding,
happen.
ding, ding. Yeah.
Man.
But I respected Jeff. He was head of the line at that moment. But I was prepared for it when the opportunity happened.
You
You
were
know, who knows if I would have gotten the jump if I didn't have the ponytail. You know, they could have always wigged somebody, but I
yeah.
just look so much like him. Unless you got right into my eyes, you wouldn't lose the shot with me. I mean,
Right.
I look so much like him on top of that train. The producer and director loved me,
Oh, and
made
you
their
guys
job
made
easy.
history. Yeah, it made it easy, and you made history through that. You guys
Yeah.
have been doing a lot out there, and these are the films that I watched when I was growing up, and I know a lot of people that were inspired by the work that you guys have done out there. And I hear Bear, and he's saying, "Daddy,
It's okay,
that's
Bear. Bear,
enough,"
Bear,
because I want to
Bear.
go to the doggy
It's
park.
okay. Good.
So,
Bear.
what we should do is
Bear's
you
protecting the house. Come here. Come over
see
here.
there.
Come
I
and say
want to
hi.
see him.
Come here. Come and say hi.
Hi, Bear.
Yeah, where's the bear? Hey,
Where
the
is it?
bear. Hey,
Hi,
bear.
Bear. You're on
Mm.
TV.
Give me
Hello,
kisses. All
Bear.
right. Thank you, bear.
Gorgeous.
That's the bear.
Well, Rhino, we have another session, I'm sure, to do. We'll schedule because we've got a lot to talk
Okay, it's been
about.
so nice talking to everybody. I hope
Absolutely.
you gleaned
Absolutely.
something from this interview. And
Absolutely.
always good seeing you, Juanita.
Thank you, my friend. And go have a good time at the doggy park with Bear
Time for
and have
doggy
a
park.
fabulous time at Paramount. I'll check in with
Yeah.
you again. God bless
Yeah,
you.
anytime. Give me a call.
Will
Bye-bye.
do. Bye. Everyone, that was another amazing session here at Meticulous Moments with the one and only Ryan Rhino Michaels, guest star actor, stunt double for Steven Seagal, Under Siege 2, Alfred Molina, and Matador, and so many other projects as well. He's also a MAM Hall of Fame inductee. And he was inducted at the same event, although they were both virtual, but also inducted with Steven Seagal that evening. So Stephen and Rhino are both MAM Hall of Fame inductees for 2024, and we thank them for all their hard work in the film industry. We thank them for what they've been doing out there, the long hours on set, the positive energy, the hard work, all the stunts, and just being out there and spreading that good energy and that love to the community, giving other people that hope and that dream, keeping their aspirations alive, adapting, teaching people to be original and to be innovative, and to take that leap of faith and to have the courage to pursue your dreams. So wonderful, wonderful interview. Thank you so much, my friend. It has been a stunning hour. It was great also to meet Bear, and he has a wonderful story as well. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that listened in. This is my happy place here at the Meticulous Moments podcast. This is where I really feel that community upliftment is taking place through leadership development. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone. Shout out to my grandmaster, Gary Henry. Amen. Thank you so much for everything that you are also doing. I know you and Stephen also work very closely together, and there's a lot of positive developments all around. And also shout out to my fiance Kevin Oliver. Love you, boo, and I hope you have a great, great evening. And to the audience, have a great evening, and I'll see you in the next session tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Guys, I have another great guest, so tune in with us. Have a great, great evening. Bye bye.